Alright, hi, morning everybody. My name's Shah. You're watching 1 Foot of Books, episode 17. It's Tuesday morning here in the beautiful Blue Mountains. A little bit chilly here now that winter is here, but it's sunny and it's quite stunning. Got a nice foot of books around about here. Yeah, let's get going, eh? 1 Foot of Books, episode 17. Right at the top there, Put Downs. A collection of acid wit. Yeah, I'm a big fan of collections of, quotations, things like that. And I found this book in my friend's secondhand bookshop, and I was like, "Can I have that, please?" She's like, "Yeah, take it." Yeah, I love this kind of stuff. I was a big fan of quotation books when I was a kid. I was always looking for things to justify my negative outlook on life and the world. And quotation books are the place to find it. I will tell you that much. Oscar Wilde, Woody Allen, these guys frame the world in such an entertainingly negative sense that it really speaks to a lot of teenagers, especially like me when I was a kid, and reading those things, and Groucho Marx to a lesser extent, and that kind of thing. But I like quotation books, and that they justified my outlook on the world. Before this turns into a therapy session, Put Downs. It's by Laura Ward. Let's have a look at some of the subjects in here. Literature, Oscar Wilde. Hey, there we go. Let's have a look at Oscar Wilde, because he made a big impression on me when I was a kid. I'm talking about his kind of, scathing wit. Oscar Wilde. Also, Put Downs about Oscar Wilde. James Whistler to Oscar Wilde. I went past your house this afternoon. Wilde's response. Thank you. Wordsworth went to the lakes, but he was never a lake poet. He found in stones the sermons he had already hidden there. That's Oscar Wilde talking about William Wordsworth. Sorry, it's quotes from Oscar Wilde and about Oscar Wilde. I never saw anybody take so long to dress, and with such little result, from the importance of being earnest. Poets. No, that's not do poets. Politics. Ralph Abernathy. He told us he was going to take crime out of the streets. He did. He took it into the damn White House. Talking about Richard Nixon. Time magazine on Elvis Presley. Is it sausage? It was certainly smooth and damp looking, but whoever heard of a 172-pound sausage, 6 feet tall? Royals. Oh, yeah, because it was King's birthday yesterday. There. Nah. Anyway. Put Downs. Collection of Put Downs. By Laura Ward. Confessions of an Economic Hitman. John Perkins. I got switched on to John Perkins back from the Zeitgeist movies. You remember Zeitgeist? Peter Joseph? He's still around. But the world kind of moved on, didn't it? Yeah. Just into more aimless consumerism and just like technology. Give me technology. I don't care what it does or what it'll do to us. Yeah. John Perkins worked for... what did he do? So he would go and, loan billions of dollars to countries and kind of upset their whole political systems and stuff like that. And, I've read a bit of this book. This would have been probably like 10 years ago. I got up to page 73. That was as far as I got. I think I was kind of tuning out of the Zeitgeist thing at the time. But still, a very important book and a very important subject, and something that was kind of brushed under the rug, and we don't, because of what Zeitgeist and other things warned us about, we don't give a shit about anymore, because, hey, it gets in the way of us consuming content. The Exploits of the Incomparable Mullah Nasrudin by Idreis Shah. I'm a big fan of Idreis Shah. He did a great book called The Sufis, which is like a history of the Sufis, funnily enough. And he kind of compiled all the Nasrudin stuff. If you hadn't heard of Nasrudin, he was kind of like a folk hero, trickster, Sufi, running around the Islamic world, dispensing silly wisdom and contradictions and you know, jokes, stuff like that. Yeah, I really like the Nasrudin stuff. Let's read one, shall we? All You Need, this one is called. "I'll have you hanged," said a cruel and ignorant king who had heard of Nasrudin's powers, "if you don't prove that you are a mystic." "I see strange things," said Nasrudin at once. "A golden bird in the sky, demons under the earth." "How can you see through solid objects? How can you see far into the sky?" "Fear is all you need." That's one. Let's go to a short one. Burglars. Hearing someone moving about in his home, the mullah became frightened and hid in a cupboard. In the course of their search, the two burglars opened the door and saw him cowering there. "What are you hiding from us?" asked one. "I'm hiding from shame that there is nothing in this house worthy of your attentions." Many more. Many other books as well about Nasrudin that Shah did. I'd highly recommend them all. I would have got this from the Salvos, I think. I did. Richard Brautigan. "So the wind won't blow it all away." Where did I get this from? I got a bounty of Brautigan at some point. I got it at the Salvos. I went there one day and I was like, oh, a whole heap of Richard Brautigan books. I was a fan of Trout Fishing in America, which is a great little story. If you haven't read that, do yourself a favor. Brautigan himself was not a nice man. Rampant alcoholic. Beat up his lovers and wives or whatever. Apparently, well, yeah, I think he did. Not a nice dude. He wrote a lot, and some of his stuff is quite good. I haven't read this one, So the Wind Won't Blow It All Away. Yeah. He was a very tragic figure. Like most alcoholic writers, just kind of drank himself to death, and other people around him paid the price and stuff like that. And yeah. Cycling Around Sydney from the Sydney Morning Herald. Yes, I used to live in Sydney. And right in the city there. Well, in the inner west. I never lived in the city. But yeah, that's just like a map and rundown of bike rides around the city. I would have gone on a few back in my bike riding days before I had a kid, and everything that I once enjoyed, I stopped enjoying. That's what happens when you have a kid. Who got me this? I think an ex-girlfriend got me this for my birthday, or it was like in a package of present stuff from one of an ex-girlfriend, not one of them. The Penguin Dictionary of Sociology. I definitely got this from the Vinnies at Dulwich Hill. If you haven't come across any of these Penguin dictionaries of stuff, they're very good. The Dictionary of Philosophy is very good. The Dictionary of Sociology is quite good, even though it's quite short. I always thought sociology was a bit bigger. But, you know, it is as it says it is. It is a dictionary of sociological terms. So if you like sociology and you want to sound a bit smarter in your next conversation with someone, get yourself a Dictionary of Sociology and brush up on some of the terms, and you'll be sounding like an intelligent person in no time. One of my favorite books of all time, Freedom from the Known, Krishnamurti. Oh, where did I get this from? Salvo's Miracle, definitely. It is falling apart. As you can see. Oh, ow, ouch. This is a when is this from? This is a 1975 edition of a 1969 published book. It's got a few, you know, notes, little pen marks and stuff in it. It is falling apart. I dragged it with me across the city when I was working on the North Shore, and I read it on the train. I read it in the toilet at work, and because, you know, that's sometimes the only place you can escape to escape from work is to go to the toilet and cry and or read and or whatever else you do in toilets for a really long time to escape work. Freedom from the Known, I haven't read it in a long time, but it did make a big impact on me at the time, especially when he starts talking about the observer and the observed. Kind of relates back to that kind of Buddhist monkey mind thing, how we're not who we think we are. We have all these thoughts throughout the day, these interpretations of reality that is constantly bombarding us through our senses, and we think these thoughts are us, but they're not. They're not us, they're part of us, but they're not the whole us, and they shouldn't be directing us as much as we let them. It's kind of like letting your emotions run things, letting your senses decide what you're going to do. To a certain extent. I mean, you smell smoke, you know, go away from the smoke. If you feel fire, you go away from that fire. If you hear a bear, you go the other way. But in the longer term, the observer and the observed, like those thoughts, those constant bombardment of reactions to reality are the observed. And the observer is kind of like the true you, capital T, true you, which sits above and behind kind of everything and just kind of watches and like a creep, and just like, yeah, that's happening right now. You can get to that state through meditation, sitting still and tapping into it. Eventually you want to try and get into it on a everyday basis. You want to be there, present. I think Krishnamurti called it choiceless awareness, whereas, you know, you're in that state of observing, being the observer, seeing that you're having these thoughts, these reactions, and being in control of them and seeing them and going like, yeah, that's what's happening now, but it's not us, dude. You know, we're beyond that, man. Great book if you can find a non-falling apart version. It's pretty short. How long is it? 125 pages. It would probably be a part of a compilation or something by now. Is it getting dark? Clouds are coming over. Cosmic Trigger 1, Robert Anton Wilson. One of the kind of defining and popular books from Raw. I think, did he do 3 parts? I could be wrong. I could be wrong, he did 3 parts. I've read 1 and 2, I believe. I don't know if I've got 2. I might do. But anyway, it's kind of like a autobiographical series. He goes through his birth, his childhood and stuff like that, and his kind of raising of awareness and entry and adventures through the kind of world he found himself in, like running around with Timothy Leary and doing all that kind of weird stuff. Cool book. If you're kind of interested in Raw, or you don't know who Robert Anton Wilson is, this is probably the best place to start. Don't go jumping into like Prometheus Rising or the New Inquisition. Probably the Illuminatus trilogy, and this will be is the perfect kind of stepping stones into those crazy, crazy worlds. I definitely got this at the Salvos because my nipples went hard when I saw it in the spine. I was like, oh my god, someone gave away the Cosmic Trigger Part 1. Final Secret of the Illuminati. I don't know if he does talk about Illuminati, but he was a trickster. He was a trickster, old Raw. Speaking of another trickster, Mark Manson. The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Far Out. A counterintuitive approach to living a good life. Wow, Manson really stuck the landing on this one, didn't he? You see this book in airports, and I think as soon as you see a book in an airport, you know it's popular, and you know it's a lot of people are reading it, and the author is making a lot of money. And that's what Manson did. I was following Manson years ago, years before he did this book. I was on his email list and stuff like that for ages. I kind of just like, you know, he was, I don't know, whatever. He did it. He made a mozza off his work. Good on him. This is a good book. It's a very good philosophy to adopt in this freaking crazy world at these crazy times. I've read most of it. I think, yeah. Have I got a bookmark? No, I think I did read it. I read it a couple of years ago when I was house sitting at a friend's house, and I was just like there by myself with a PlayStation and a stack of books, and I read this, and he takes a lot from all heaps of different systems of self-help and stuff like that. And good on him for doing that and making a buttload of money and having fun and doing something he loved doing and making money from it. Well done, Mark Manson. My mum got me this because she knows I need help because she raised me. Thanks, Mum. It's all your fault. No, it's not all your fault. Dad was there too. When did this turn into a therapy session? Jeez. Good book. Read it. I haven't read his other one, The Giving Up Hope or something. And yeah. Joseph O'Connor and Ian McDermott, Ways of NLP. I've dipped into and out of NLP for a long time now. I've taken a little bit of stuff from it. But it's like anything, you got to kind of practice it and to remember it. And NLP, a lot of people say, it's a cult, man, it's a cult. And it's just like, no, dude, it's just a system of belief. Like, you know, it's based around language. And it works if you let it, if you want it to, it'll work. How much of this have I read? Not much, 20 pages. But I've dipped in and out. Like, I go back and forth in this book every once in a while. And I should really dip into it again. I'm putting that in my to reread pile. I got that from the Salvos at Tempe Tip. Ralph Steadman, The Joke's Over. This is a autobiography by Ralph Steadman about his time with Hunter S. Thompson. Of course, he got Ralph Steadman got big by illustrating Hunter S. Thompson stuff. And I haven't read this. It looks like it's a cool book. I wouldn't mind reading it at some stage. I've had it for probably over 10 years now. I still haven't read it. Is it time for me to give it up? Shall I just go and pass it along somewhere? If you want a copy of this, let me know. I'll send it to you for free anywhere in the world. Got that from the Salvos at Marrickville. That's where I got most of my books for the last 12 years. Salvation Army, St. Vincent de Paul's, you know, Anglicare, the Smith family, my friend's secondhand bookshop. I can't remember the last time I paid full price for a book. No. Even an expensive book would have been a secondhand book. Escape Attempts. The Theory and Practice of Resistance in Everyday Life. This is an interesting book. It's by Stanley Cohen and Laurie Taylor. I find it hard to describe it. Let's read from the blurb out the back. How do people try to escape from the suffocating routines and rituals of everyday life? Can we really escape if we take our self with us? That's like, you know, that Buckaroo Banzai line. No matter where you go, there you are. From sexual fantasies to holidays, this marvelous book charts our escape attempts. In a series of dazzling commentaries, the authors reveal the ordinary and extraordinary ways in which we seek to defy the despair of the breakfast table and the office. But the book is more than a first-rate cartography of everyday life. It crackles with important theoretical insights about how normality is important. Normality is managed. This fully revised edition contains a superb new introduction, Life After Postmodernism, which exposes the conceits of the postmodernist adventure, and which will be required reading for anyone interested in making sense of everyday life. I have read bits of this. Was a while ago, though. Yeah, you got to be careful with these kind of books. You got to be careful with your input. You start rallying against the machine, that's what you'll do. And you'll keep looking for stuff to justify your point of view. I got that. Salvation Army. The War of Art. Stephen Pressfield. Great little book. You can read it in a night. And it's very cool. Break through your blocks and win your inner creative battles. He did another one called Turning Pro, which kind of grows out of the ideas from this book. It's cheap. You'll find it in a lot of different places. Where did I get this from? I think I did order this online from Abe Books. Secondhand copy, very well looked after. Just because I was keen to read it, and I couldn't find it anywhere in the it wasn't coming up in the secondhand shops in Sydney. And I have seen it around in the secondhand shops. Highly recommend you read it if you're interested in a creative endeavor and you just kind of, it's hard taking that first step. It's the hardest part is the first step. This guy will help you through it and kind of kick your ass at the same time. Programmed to Kill. David McGowan. The Politics of Serial Murder. This was from, I think this is from the early 2000s, 2004. David McGowan's, kind of a literary upstart. I don't know, he's still producing stuff, but anyway, this is all about kind of like a different look at serial murder and how it's portrayed in the media and stuff like that. I haven't read it. I should, though. Got this from my friend's Dead Uncle's collection. Elizabeth Clare, Dangerous English. This is kind of like a weird facsimile copy. I think this was from my friend's Dead Uncle's collection as well. I don't know why it's done. You can get it published properly, but it's full of awesome, not dirty words, because there are no dirty words, but just all the kind of, I think Elizabeth Clare she was an English as a second language teacher, and she wrote this book just with dangerous English. No, it's just stuff, just words, like alley cat, a man or woman who has casual sexual relations with many people. What else is there? Lots. Frig. Vulgar. Verb. Euphemism for generally used in expressions that do not imply sexual intercourse. Okay. Leecher. Madam. Maidenhead. Moon. The buttocks. Teenage or college use. I haven't really looked at this book, to be honest. It looks kind of interesting. Maybe I'll give it to my 5-year-old kid. She can learn something. I got this from the Atticus bookshop, Black Rose, when it was kind of shutting its doors and moving to another place. The Compassionate Contrarians, A History of Vegetarians in Aotearoa, New Zealand. I just kind of grabbed it. I was like, okay, cool. Haven't read it. I'm a Kiwi, and it looks kind of interesting. It explores the quirks of the vegetarian experience in a land of meat. Yes. More importantly, it acknowledges the hard work and courage of a group of idealists who dedicated their lives to creating a more just world for all sentient beings. Yes. New Zealand is indeed a land of meat, as is Australia, as are most countries in the world that have access to meat. Vegetarians. Are you a vegetarian? Let me know. How's it going for you? I'm a bit of a pescatarian. I eat a little bit of fish now and again, But I live up in the mountains really far away from the sea, so I recognize that fish is probably not the best thing for me to be eating up here because it comes from all the way down in the beach, but like in the sea, and I'm like, kind of food miles. What's a fish doing up here? Maybe I'll go to the creek and get some yabbies. I'll eat them maybe. Can I eat them? Is that legal? Yeah, but mostly vegetarian. Alright, that's it for One Foot of Books, episode 17. I don't know about you, man, but I'm not getting a lot of views with this. Not that I'm doing this for views, but I'm just like, this is kind of a bit of an experiment for me. I'm going to get up to 20 videos, and then, because I haven't told pretty much any of my friends or my social media circles about this video series that I'm doing. And I wanted to get to 20 and then kind of put it on my Facebook, stuff like that, and see how it goes. I was in community radio for years. I know what it's like to do creative stuff and hope that your friends tune in and watch it or listen to it. And to be honest, most of them don't, and most of them won't. You can scream it from the rafters. You can dial in their YouTube. You can set their presets on the radio if you're doing a radio show. People won't, people won't listen. People are doing their lives, and that's all right, because we've now got avenues like YouTube where there's billions of people watching it, and get 30 views here, 50 views there. Man, it's probably more than you get on a community radio station of your friends. So yeah, that's my little experiment. I'm going to launch this amongst my social circles when I get to 20 and see how I go. I don't know. Just kind of keep it on the low down, under the radar. Just doing this so, I don't feel like I'm doing it for anyone. I'm just doing it for myself. And, once I put it out there and all my friends and friends go, "Oh, that's so great, congratulations," and I'll see like 2 more views. That's it, man. Who cares? Who cares, man? Just do it. All right. Rant over. I'll see you guys next week for episode 18 of One Foot of Books. Have a great week.